Not too long ago, D2 players were given the gift of the Choir of One, aka a great example of a new exotic weapon done right. If you didn't know or if you haven't used it yet, not only is the gun really fun in PvE, but it hits like a truck. Damn viable weapon. And although the close range double damage is being taken away by the fun police, it's still gonna be rock solid in PvE. Anyway, we're now finally at that point where we've been able to unlock and use the third catalyst for the gun, which leads me to the question, which option out of the three is actually the quote best option? Let's find out. The three options we have on the table are Subsistence, which will keep your magazine full as you get kills, Destabilizing Rounds, which will allow for volatile explosions to give this weapon better ad clear, and finally Onslaught, which ramps up the rate of fire to the point where after a few kills it starts to actually feel like a primary auto rifle. Every catalyst can be earned through the quest acquired from Banshee, none of which are too hard to complete. I'm gonna go ahead and give these catalysts a loose rating in the following categories: ammo efficiency, ad clear efficiency, and high-end value, aka how good the catalyst will be if brought into more difficult PvE content. We'll give each one a score of 1 to 5 in every category, and you can go ahead and decide which catalyst is best for you based on that info. But I will still give my own personal pick for best choice at the end of the video though, so don't worry. But listen up real quick. If you're a grinder like yours truly, you know how hard it can be to eat the right stuff when you're just too busy. I often find myself straight up forgetting to eat when I stream sometimes, which definitely is not healthy and I don't recommend it. Thankfully though, that's where Control comes in. They've been kind enough to partner with me on today's video, so let's thank them real quick. If you're looking to eat healthier meals or even lose weight, their meal replacement shakes are a great option. They only have 1 gram of sugar and are a good source of fiber and healthy carbs. They also taste damn good, which really helps. No joke, they went ahead and sent me a whole box of protein meal bars and I straight up ate almost all of them before filming footage for this promo. I only got 1 bar left. Sorry, Control, couldn't help myself. But if it makes any difference, my favorite flavor was peanut butter s'mores, for the record. They also have protein cookies with 15 grams of protein each. God damn, what a time to be alive. Do yourself a favor, head on over to drinkcontrol.com/fallout and use code fallout to get 10% off your first order. They have a bundle builder where you can grab a couple different products and get them at a discount of up to 20% off if you add at least 5. And the best part, you can use my code on top of that to get an additional 10% off. Noise. Again, that is drinkcontrol.com/fallout and promo code fallout. Thank you, Control. Anyway, why don't we start off with the simplest catalyst choice, Subsistence. Defeating targets partially reloads the mag from reserves. In this case, every kill will return 5 ammo, whether it's from hipfire or ADS mode. A really nice note is that these procs can actually stack. You'll notice it right here. We get 2 kills in 1 shot using the hipfire mode, and it gives back 10 ammo instead of 5. This works really well if your goal is to mow down rows of enemies. However, the trade-off is that, as a reminder, it pulls from reserves, not from thin air. Meaning, yeah, it's fun, but if you're not careful, you're gonna run out of ammo pretty quickly. In terms of numeric rating, I'm gonna have to give this catalyst a 2 in the ammo efficiency category. Although it's really nice to be able to hold down the trigger and give the finger to manually reloading, this can become a problem very quickly. With a weapon that burns through ammo to the degree that Choir does, especially when hip firing, Subsistence will burn through a majority of your reserves if you're not prepared. That means you're gonna have to heavily rely on a consistent way to make special ammo bricks, which by itself, not a huge issue, but moderately annoying. When it comes to ad clear efficiency, this catalyst is an easy 4 out of 5. Holding down the trigger means that most of the time you'll clear any size clump of ads without even having to reload, especially with the general AoE that the hipfire version provides. Subsistence basically grants 1 hipfire shot for every kill you get, because remember, a hipfire shot requires 5 ammo to do, meaning that if you need to take a second and get an ADS kill, you'll be able to refuel on hipfire shots, so to speak, which you can then use to ad clear even harder. A perfect cycle for a weapon like Choir of One. Finally, how well does Subsistence hold up in endgame activities? Unfortunately, I'm gonna give it a 3 in that category. See, Subsistence shines brightest in situations where you're breezing through trash while spending the least amount of ammo possible. That way, as you blast through waves, you're at the very least getting ammo back in the mag at the same rate that you pump it out. But if you're using 10 ammo, aka 2 hipfire shots to kill 1 enemy, and you're only getting 5 back in the mag, you're putting out more than you're getting back, meaning the overall value of Subsistence isn't going to be as appealing. You'd have to heavily rely on ADS mode to lower your ammo output to really get good mileage out of Subsistence Choir of 1 and higher level content. Overall, I think Subsistence is a very fun catalyst for Choir, but you really got to make sure you're keeping an eye on your ammo count as you go. Kinda like keeping your eye on a problem child that you know is going to cause mischief the moment you look away. If you're gonna roll with this option, you gotta know when to get an ADS kill for a quick auto load or when to hip fire dump to clear a bunch of ads and then hope for a big refill. Be sure to swap between the two fire modes as needed, and Subsistence will serve you fine. Just maybe be careful in high-end content. Moving on to catalyst choice number 2, Destabilizing Rounds. Final blows cause nearby targets to become volatile. To clarify, this perk doesn't inherently cause explosions or chain kills. However, shooting a volatile enemy will cause a small explosion, allowing for much better ad clear. Something I noticed is that the ADS mode feels relatively normal with destabilizing, much like any other AR. However, hip fire mode seems oddly inconsistent. Sometimes multi-kills in hipfire mode don't seem to actually create multiple volatile explosions, but then other times it appears to work just fine. That could be because hipfire mode has those little mini AoE explosions when you fire. You also have the Fanatical Lance exotic trait, throwing out radiolarian pools on the ground too. There's a lot going on. Not entirely sure, but point of the story is that you may notice it feeling a tad inconsistent. Rating-wise, in the ammo efficiency department, I'd say this is probably a 4. It doesn't inherently improve your ammo efficiency, however the AoE explosions can mean using less ammo to clear an area in either firing mode. Over time, this can save you some time and ammo, but not really a ton. I usually like using the ADS if it's a smaller group so I can get easy volatile procs, but once the enemies start getting bigger, that usually means it's time to throw out a hipfire wyvern shot for a quick kill, hopefully letting me sweep an area using volatile to get free damage on other nearby enemies. In the ad clear department, this catalyst is an easy 5. Constant procs with no cooldown means most of the time you barely have to put in any effort to clear a room. Previously mentioned inconsistencies aside, hipfire mode is pretty awesome with destabilizing rounds when it works, especially since once you get further away, the spread shot can end up tagging multiple enemies at a time because the spread shot fans out a little bit more. Finally, looking at high-end content is actually a little bit more complicated for this catalyst. I'm gonna put it at a 3 right now, give or take. Initially, placed it lower since the additional volatile explosions wouldn't be tremendously useful if the enemy is still alive after they go boom. But even if they manage to live, you're still dishing out extra damage in a decently sized area, all for free. On top of that, if you get multiple kills back to back, you can still have those insane chain explosions that we all know and love from ad clear perks like this one. Destabilizing rounds might be the most useful, or at least the most unique catalyst of the bunch, just because it adds something that Choir of 1 really wants. A way to get quality AoE damage going without having to use up all of your freaking ammo. Just get one kill, shoot the enemy that got made volatile, and keep looping that as best you can for more and more booms. Again, I think my favorite feature of destabilizing is that it really glows up ADS mode ad clear and makes me less tempted to use hipfire mode unless I really need to. Volatile is also great synergy with a lot of different subclass options and builds. Shout out to Stylish Executioner. Alrighty, last but not least, Onslaught, the most recent catalyst option for the Choir. Final blows with this weapon increase its rate of fire. More specifically, each kill grants you a stack capping out at 3 stacks. Each stack increases your rate of fire by a noticeable amount and gives you a small amount of reload speed too, which isn't mentioned anywhere on the perk, but definitely a thing. Nice. Onslaught turns ADS mode Choir into something that feels like an actual auto rifle and turns hipfire mode Choir into something that kind of feels more akin to a fusion rifle burst. And now for some nerdy ass number sharing, which by the way, take with a grain of salt. I ain't a mathematician, nor am I on the bungo payroll to confirm if any of this is correct. According to Destiny Data Compendium, Onslaught at max stacks grants a 0.63 times fire recovery delay, meaning that the delay between shots fired is decreased. At base, Choir of 1 has a roughly 266 millisecond firing delay. When we add the multiplier from max stacks of Onslaught, this decreases our firing delay to 168 milliseconds, which is roughly a millisecond off of the firing delay of a 360 RPM auto rifle. Now, this is an inherently nice buff, but becomes crazy when you think about how this means that the hip fire is now firing at the rate of a 360 RPM auto rifle. A super nice buff to have passively going as you get kills. In the ammo efficiency department, I'm gonna go ahead and give Onslaught a 3. It doesn't change how much ammo you use to kill an enemy, only how fast you can do it. The passive reload speed buff that Onslaught gives is a nice little cherry on top when getting a bunch of kills, but this this catalyst is entirely neutral when it comes to your ammo economy. Just don't start firing extra shots because you're going so fast and you'll be just fine. Jumping on over to Ad Clear, I'm giving Onslaught a solid 4. It may not change ammo usage, but it does change your TTK a bit. That is obviously going to make killing any type of enemy faster and more efficient, including giant waves of ads or smaller groups. It becomes especially lethal when you consider that you can get a few ADS kills to start ramping up your stacks, or even just shoot one hip fire shot into a group of trash and be at max stacks immediately, which is awesome. Onslaught is a really nice glow up for the choir, since it's a high damage gun by design, and therefore it has slowish rate of fire like most high damage weapons. Finally, on the subject of high-end content, I will happily give Onslaught a 5. Being able to kill one enemy and automatically having a faster time to kill for the next one is great in high-end content, since most of the time you want to try to reduce the amount of time you spend shooting dudes. This is mostly because you don't want to stand still in levels of content where enemies can delete you faster than you can blink, which means Onslaught gives a huge advantage by letting you kill faster and move around faster. Overall, a perfect add-on for tougher content. For right now, I'm going to say that on paper, Onslaught is probably the strongest of the 3 catalysts for Choir of One. It takes away one of the bigger downsides that the gun has and allows it to shine in comparison to a lot of other special weapons. Shine brighter than it already does, I mean. An increased rate of fire also means that the Choir starts to become an even better champ shredder weapon, aka a mini-boss slash elite killer due to a quick time to kill for a gun that already does great damage. No need for me to keep rambling on here, but I'll just go ahead and put it this way. Onslaught basically turns Choir into a 360 RPM auto rifle that does the damage equivalent of a sniper or a shotgun. Good lord. Now, just because I think Onslaught might be the strongest on paper doesn't mean that it's the end-all be-all for the gun, and that anyone who doesn't use it is stupid. At the end of the day, it all comes down to you and what you want to do with the gun. Want to make explosions? Destabilizing is right there and would be really fun with a lot of builds. Hate reloading and just want to spam fire? Go ahead and run Subsistence and increase the time between reloads massively. It's all up to you. Gun to my head though, I'm probably going to go Onslaught due to it having 0 trade-off for a buff that is crazy good in any level of content, but you do you. I will say, for the record though, that if the inconsistencies with hipfire and destabilizing ever get completely changed, I'd love to go back and use it some more in situations where I can greatly benefit from those volatile procs. Maybe your Falcons or even a standard stay alive build that just needs a little ad clear bonus. But until that day comes, I will happily take the only 360 AR I'll actually grin while using in PvE. If you happen to like one of the other catalysts more, tell me about it down in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you if you think I missed anything with these catalysts, or maybe even a catalyst you think the gun would have done better with. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.